How did some pastors with no businesses or products end up driving Bentleys and flying in private jets? They didn't win the lottery. They used faith to get rich. One pastor sprayed bug spray on people's faces and said it healed them. Another promised miracle babies. And yes, they made millions of dollars doing it. But here's the big question. What's the secret they all share that most churches won't talk about? This didn't happen by accident. These pastors followed a plan. And once you see how it works, you'll understand how belief can be turned into money and power. In this video, you'll learn how these black pastors used religion to build riches and the surprising trick that helped them do it. If you've ever wondered where donation money really goes, this might change how you see church, trust, and truth. In 2014, something shocking happened in South Africa. A pastor named Lesego Daniel told his church members to eat grass. He said it would help them get closer to God. Many of them listened. They got down on the ground outside the church and started eating real grass. Some got sick. Some threw up. Some were even taken to the hospital. But instead of getting upset, they called it a miracle. Later, Pastor Daniel did something even stranger. He sprayed insect killer, a product called Doom, into people's faces. He said it would heal them. Some believed it worked. Others were clearly in pain. But still, they didn't leave. What happened next was even more surprising. The church didn't shrink. It grew. More people started coming. The donations got bigger. Reports said Pastor Daniel was making thousands of dollars every week, right after the doom spray made headlines. So why would people keep coming? Why give more money after getting hurt? Here's the strange truth. Pastor Daniel made people believe that suffering was part of their healing. If they got sick, it was a sign that something inside them was changing. If they felt pain, it meant the power of God was working. This idea that pain equals progress became part of the message. And that message brought in money. Some called it faith. Others called it dangerous. But it worked. For Pastor Daniel, pain became proof. And proof brought profit. It wasn't just about belief. It was about control. Because when someone trusts you with their soul, they might also trust you with their wallet. Now, here's the real question. If a pastor can get rich by selling grass and bug spray, what happens when he starts selling something even bigger? Paseka Mboro Mozuing is a pastor from South Africa who made headlines around the world. Why? Because he said he went to heaven and took selfies with angels. Yes, real photos. Or at least that's what he claimed. Mboro told his followers that he was taken up to heaven during a church service. And when he came back, he had pictures to prove it. People were amazed. Some believed without question. They said, if this is true, then heaven must be real. Desperate families, people who had lost loved ones or were afraid of dying, clung to these photos. They felt hope, and they wanted more. So Mboro gave them more, but not for free. He began selling albums of the photos. He launched miracle prayer packages, where people paid money to be connected to the powers he claimed to bring from heaven. He offered one-on-one blessings for a price. Reports say he made millions of dollars through these programs. Some people gave away their life savings just to feel like they had a piece of heaven. But not everyone believed him. Police investigators got involved. They asked to see the original photos. They wanted to know if it was all just a scam. But Mboro refused. He called the investigation spiritual harassment. He said, "You're not just questioning me, you're fighting God." This created a big debate. If someone sells pictures of heaven and claims they're real, is that faith or is it fraud? Mboro also tried to copyright the photos to make sure no one else could use them without paying. But that raised another strange question. Can someone own the rights to heaven? His followers didn't care. They believed. And because they believed, they gave. And because they gave, Mboro got rich. It wasn't just about religion anymore. It was about power and how far people will go for a little hope. If pastors could sell heaven and people paid, what happens when they start offering miracle healing right in front of your eyes? Pastor Lethabo Rabalago became known as the Doom Pastor for a reason. He said he could heal sickness, not with prayer or medicine, but by spraying insect killer in people's faces. Yes, really. Just like Pastor Lesego Daniel, Rabalago used Doom, a bug spray meant to kill pests, not cure people. He told his followers that God told him to do it. He said the spray would remove evil spirits and heal diseases. Many people believed him. They stood in front of the spray, closed their eyes, and waited for a miracle. But then, a woman died. Her name was Eunice Methethwa. Reports say she came to the church hoping to be healed of an illness. She was sprayed with doom, and shortly after, she passed away. You'd think the church would stop, that people would walk away, but instead, they gave more. Church members said her death wasn't a tragedy, it was a sacrifice. They said she was chosen by God. They believed even more. And after the news came out, donations tripled. That's right, 3 times more money started coming in after a woman died. The government warned the church to stop. Health officials said doom was dangerous and should never be used on people. But the pastor didn't stop, and his followers didn't care. To them, this wasn't about safety. It was about faith, even when it got deadly. So here's the question. How can something so dangerous grow so much devotion? The answer might be simple and scary. When people are desperate for hope, they'll do anything to feel like they're saved, even if it hurts, even if it kills. And some leaders know this. They don't just use it, they profit from it. Because when people believe pain is part of God's plan, they'll accept anything and keep giving. This wasn't just one pastor going too far. It was a pattern, one that shows how belief can be turned into power, and power into profit. Now here's what happened next. What if a pastor didn't just speak to God, but claimed God spoke back over the phone? Pastor Paul Sanyangore shocked the world when he said he had something no one else had, God's phone number. Yes, a real number. He said he could call God during church, right from his cell phone. In the middle of his sermons, he would pick up his phone, dial a number, and start talking. "Hello, God," he'd say. "What should I tell your people today?" The crowd would cry. Some would fall to their knees. Others shouted, "Amen," while tears rolled down their faces. It felt like a miracle. But was it real? While people focused on the call, something else was happening behind the scenes. Pastor Sanyangore started charging money. He sold what he called heaven certificates, printed papers that said you were going to heaven if you followed his teachings. People also paid for VIP prayers, faster baptisms, and even miracle speed packages that promised quicker results from God. Some churchgoers were told they could get closer to God for a price. In just 2 years, reports say Pastor Sanyangore made over $500,000. That's a lot of money for someone who says he's just a messenger. Many of his followers believed the money didn't matter. They thought, if this helps me reach heaven, why not? But it left others wondering, is prayer now a premium service? Has something sacred become something for sale? It's one thing to ask for donations to help a church. It's another to sell miracles like they're tickets to a show. So now there's a new kind of tension. Can you buy your way to heaven? Or are you just buying someone else's dream? This story shows how easily faith can be packaged, priced, and profited from. And the question gets bigger. If one pastor can call God, what happens when another one promises to give you a baby, even when doctors say it's impossible? Bishop Gilbert Dea said he could do what doctors couldn't, help women who couldn't have children become mothers through miracle babies. For years, women from around the world flew to his church. They were desperate, heartbroken, and full of hope. And Dea promised them something only God could give. He said, "Pray with me, believe, and you will hold a baby in your arms." And it happened. Women who had struggled for years were suddenly given newborns. They believed it was a miracle. They gave thanks. They gave money, lots of it. Some paid for special miracle packages. Others donated everything they had just to be part of what they thought was holy. But it was all a lie. DNA tests later showed these babies didn't belong to the women who raised them. They were stolen, taken from hospitals or poor families and passed off as divine gifts. The truth came crashing down. Dea was arrested and eventually extradited from the UK to Kenya to face trial. But here's what shocked people even more. Even after the proof, even after the courts, even after the heartbreak, people still followed him. He kept preaching. He kept collecting money. And some people still believed he was sent by God, not a criminal. How does that happen? Maybe it's charisma, the way he spoke, the power in his voice. Maybe it was hope, stronger than fear, stronger than facts. But the truth is painful. He didn't just steal children, he stole trust. So the real conflict becomes clear. Crime versus charisma, proof versus belief, truth versus hope. And that brings us to something even bigger. How can people still follow, even after everything is exposed? What happens when someone puts their faith in a pastor and that faith cost them everything. But Elvis Mbonye told his followers something shocking. He said he had been to heaven, and came back to share what he saw. People believed him. They didn't just listen to him speak. Some of them actually got down on their knees and kissed his shoes. Why? They believed touching him would bring them blessings from God. At his events, the energy felt electric. Music played, lights flashed. It felt more like a concert than a church, but it wasn't free. He sold special tickets called honor fees. People paid more to sit closer, to shake his hand, or to get prayed for first. Some seats were VIP only, just like at a celebrity show. Reports say his events brought in over $1 million a year. And that wasn't all. Mbonye also said he could see the future. He claimed he predicted the 9/11 attacks, major world disasters, even political changes. But when asked for proof, there was none. No videos, no papers, no real evidence. Still, his followers clapped, cried, and paid. Why? Because sometimes belief doesn't need proof. Sometimes it just needs a powerful speaker, a shiny stage, and the promise of something holy. But here's the real question. Is this still prophecy, or has it become performance? Can you tell the difference when it all looks so polished? This creates a conflict. Reality versus showmanship. Faith versus feelings. Because once someone believes a prophet speaks for God, they might ignore the red flags, even if they're huge. So now we ask, if a prophet can sell blessings, if people will kiss shoes and pay to hear predictions, what happens when a pastor simply says, "Give me millions and trust me"? Creflo Dollar is a famous pastor from Georgia. He leads a megachurch with thousands of people, and even more who watch online. One day he asked his followers to help him buy something big, a $65 million private jet, the Gulfstream G650. Why? He said he needed it to spread God's word around the world without delays. Some people were shocked, but others didn't blink. They gave money. Some said, "Our pastor deserves to fly like a king. He's doing God's work." And the money poured in, millions of dollars. But this wasn't the only thing he owned. He already lived in luxury homes, had multiple expensive cars, and wore designer clothes. He even flew private jets before this one. Still, the donations came. When the media found out, there was global outrage. News headlines called him greedy. Critics said, why not help the poor instead? But guess what? Creflo didn't lose support. His church kept growing. People still called him Man of God. Why? Because Creflo teaches the prosperity gospel. The idea that if you give money to God, God will bless you with more. So when he gets richer, his followers believe they might too. It's like a holy investment plan. Give now, and God will reward you later. But here's the big question. When is a pastor too rich? At what point does it stop being about faith and start being about fortune? That's where the tension sits. On one side, people say Creflo helps them grow spiritually. On the other, critics say he's using religion to grow his bank account. So we're stuck between hope versus headlines, belief versus bank statements. And one more thing. Even with all that money, Creflo later apologized for some of his past teachings. But by then the plane had already landed, and the money was long spent. Now we ask, if a pastor can raise millions for a jet, what happens when one runs from the law and still gets paid? Hwange Bushiri is one of the most well-known pastors in Africa. He's not just famous, he's also one of the most mysterious. He told people he could do things no one else could. He claimed to heal the sick, make money appear, and even walk on air. Videos showed him floating, performing miracles, and blessing his followers. People believed. Some saw him as their only hope. They gave him money, a lot of it. He called it a faith seed. That means if you give, God will bless you back. But the more people gave, the richer Bushiri became. He started driving luxury cars, flying in private jets, and living in a giant mansion. He held special events that cost hundreds, even thousands, just to attend. He said these events gave direct blessings. By 2020, Bushiri had made over $20 million. But here's where everything changed. The government started asking questions. Where was all the money going? Were the miracles real? And was he using faith to scam people? In late 2020, Bushiri was arrested in South Africa. Police said he had committed fraud and money laundering. That means he might have been taking people's donations and using them for himself in ways that broke the law. But before he could go to trial, he ran. He escaped the country with his wife and went back to Malawi. To this day, Bushiri has never returned to face the court. He is now a fugitive, someone wanted by the law. So, what happened to his church? Nothing stopped. He still preaches online. He still runs services on Facebook and YouTube. And he still collects money. People still call him Major One. They say he's not a criminal. He's a man of God being attacked unfairly. So now we have a strange situation. A man who is wanted by the police, still trusted by thousands. This is where the conflict gets deep. Is he a prophet or a professional at making money from belief? And why do people still believe even after the arrests, the lies, and the escape? Maybe it's because they don't see him as a man. They see him as divine, like a bridge between them and God. And once someone has that power, it's hard to break the spell. So now we ask the final question. With all 8 pastors, from grass eaters to jet flyers, from miracle phones to escaped fugitives, what's the one hidden truth they all share? This whole story isn't just about pastors and their big promises. It's about something deeper. The truth, these pastors weren't just teaching about God. They were making money from people's pain. They didn't just sell religion. They sold hope to the people who needed it most. And that hope came with a price. Some called it a faith seed. Others called it a love offering. But no matter what the name was, it meant one thing. Give more, and maybe God will bless you. Belief wasn't just a feeling anymore. It became a brand, a business. And for some of these pastors, the church was a gold mine. But while they flew on jets and lived in mansions, what did their followers get? Nothing. No healing. No miracle money. Just more empty promises. And that's the emotional truth. This isn't about these pastors. It's about the millions of people who gave everything and got nothing back. Remember the hook. We started with stories of eating grass, spraying doom, flying jets, and talking to angels. It sounded wild, but it ends with one quiet, painful truth. They all hid the same secret. The real business was never faith. It was about selling dreams to people who were desperate for a better life. If someone can get rich off belief, who's really being saved? Think about that. This wasn't just about wild pastors. It was about something deeper and more painful. These stories, they weren't just scandals. They were spiritual heartbreaks. People trusted. They gave their time, their money, even their health, because they believed. And instead of care, they got tricked. Instead of healing, they got hurt. That's what makes this so powerful. It's not wrong to have faith. It's not wrong to want something better. It's not even wrong to follow someone who inspires you. But here's the real message. It's dangerous to never question. When someone says, give more and God will bless you, ask them, why do you need a jet if my prayers don't work? When someone tells you they can call heaven, ask, why does it cost $500 to get on the line? Because real faith should lift you up, not drain your bank account. And if this video opened your eyes, even a little, hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below and tell us, which pastor shocked you the most? And do you think any of them should still have a platform today? Because this story isn't just about them. It's about all of us and how we protect what we believe in. Thanks for watching. More truth, more stories, more clarity, coming next.